Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, the one and only Agent Chambly, and today I'll be reviewing Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage on the PS1 and on the PS4. Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage was released in 1999 for the PS1. It's a sequel to Spyro the Dragon and was once again developed by Insomniac Games. The game was received well from both fans and critics, and it sold 3.5 million units in its lifetime. I don't know if this one's the best in the trilogy, but it's an improvement from the first. Let's start this review off with the story. It's raining in Spyro's homeworld, and he and Sparks are overdue for a vacation. So, they decide to go to Dragon Shores for some fun in the sun. Meanwhile, in the world of Avalar, 4 new characters, Alora, Hunter, Zoe, and the Professor, are trying to teleport a dragon to their world to help defeat an evil invader called Ripto. So, as you probably guessed, Spyro is the one transported to Avalar instead of Dragon Shores, and they convince him to help them out with their problem. Talk about being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But anyways, the story isn't bad. It's just your basic kid-friendly save the world storyline. The new characters are pretty cool too. For starters, you have Hunter the Cheetah. He's a bit of a coward, but he does help you throughout the game, and he has tons of mini games for you to play to earn orbs. Then you have the Professor, who's responsible for you being in Avalar in the first place. He will give you side quests throughout the game, and like Hunter, will give you orbs for your trouble. Alora the Goat,
I'm a fawn, you dork.
sorry, Alora the Fawn, will keep Spyro updated on what Ripto is up to, and will give you information on what you need to do next. Zoe is a fairy that will act as your checkpoint in the levels, and she'll give you some helpful hints. And finally, you have Moneybags, a greedy bear that will open portals, new pathways, and teach you new moves, all for a small fee. I'm surprised he doesn't charge you for the air you breathe. Ripto is also a great villain, much better than Nasty Nork in my opinion. The gameplay is similar to the first game, only this time, you're not saving dragons. Instead, you're collecting talisman, gems, and orbs. The talisman are the main collectibles in the game. There are 14 total for you to collect, and you'll get them by helping the citizens in the first 14 levels in the game. Their tasks are really easy though. The orbs, on the other hand, that's another story. Now, they aren't too hard to collect. Most of the orb missions are pretty easy. However, there are certain missions that can drive you up the wall. Anything involving the supercharged power up in particular gets on my nerves. Spyro himself returns with his basic moves. Well, most of them at least. He can still glide, breathe fire, and charge enemies, but it took away his side roll for some reason. But that being said, he has some new moves as well. He can now hover after gliding, making it a lot easier to land on faraway platforms. He's able to spit items at enemies. This is really helpful to take out enemies out of your reach. Spyro can now head bash as well. This is great for breaking rocks and taking out certain enemies. And finally, Spyro can swim. Yes, you heard correctly, Spyro can now swim. And the swimming controls are pretty good too. Just like in the first game, there are special power-ups that Spyro can get for a limited time. This time, however, you have to kill a certain number of enemies in order to get them. Spyro can have super breath, ice breath, flight, invulnerability, a super jump, and of course, the supercharge. All except the supercharge can only be used for a limited time, and all except the supercharge are great to use. My issue with the supercharge is that it's too hard to control Spyro with it, and if you mess up, you have to go back to the gate and start again. It gets way too repetitive. The controls, on the other hand, are just fine at the end of the day, though I wish you could use the right thumbstick to control the camera instead of the L1 and R1 shoulder buttons. The levels themselves are designed well. The speedways make a return. I do like that there are more character interactions in the levels compared to the first game, and I love the cutscenes in the beginning and the end of the levels. I also like how some levels have a connection with other levels, and it's fun exploring the levels as well. The same can't be said for the overworlds though. They come off as kind of boring. This is one area in the game where Spyro 1 surpassed Spyro 2. For starters, there are only 3 worlds, and you can tell that there are meant to be more because Autumn Plains is jam-packed with levels. But the main issue I have is that the overworlds are just bland. At least Spyro 1 had some action in their overworlds, and also the camera can be a pain still. And before I forget, the boss fights are much better this time around though. Graphically, this game is an improvement from the first. I like the cinematics at the beginning and end of every level. Every level looks different, and you can tell that Insomniac tried to make a better looking game this time around. I did run into a glitch though, but it wasn't a big deal. The new characters have a harmless cartoony look to them, and it fits the game perfectly. The same goes for the enemy designs. The sound overall is good. I like how you know there's an orb near you by the sound it makes. I also like the sound the gems make. And of course, there's the voice acting. Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob, does the voice of Spyro this time, and he did a great job. I like how he sounds much older this time around. It's the perfect Spyro voice. Everyone else did a wonderful job too. And of course, I have to talk about the music. It's a great soundtrack, but I kinda like the music from the first game a little bit more. But this soundtrack is still awesome at the end of the day. Overall, this game is much better than the first. Insomniac took everything to the next level and it paid off here. It's what a sequel should be, and that's why this game gets an A-. The graphics, gameplay, and music is great, but some of the side quests are annoying and the camera can still cause problems. Now, let's talk about the reignited version. This is the best version to me. The graphics are much better. I like how the character models look this time around. Most of the voice acting is better as well, and I like how the characters from the levels have different voices this time, instead of them sounding all the same. The controls do function like they should, though I did have a little trouble with the charge attack, and the supercharge is still awful. But the sound is a major improvement. I love the footstep sounds that Spyro makes when he runs, and the music is still great. Now you're able to change the music to the old soundtrack if you want, and I love that option, but I would say give the new soundtrack a chance. Most of the tracks are really good. Some could have been done better though. And the camera can still be an issue at times, but at least you can now use the thumbstick to control it this time. And Spyro gets his side roll back as well. But, with that being said, this game gets a solid A. It's much improved from the original PS1 version, but the camera can still be an issue, and there are some weird glitches as well. Thank you all so much for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, if you like this video, be sure to smash that like button, give that subscribe button a good KO punch, and I'll see you next time. Thank you all once again. You all have a nice day. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. And remember, geek gaming and nerd culture is for everyone, and let's keep things fun.